good morning, and welcome to our online service for West Springs Church. We're glad that you're here with us this August long weekend. We hope you're enjoying it, and we'd like to sing together this morning the song Grateful. This is the day that the Lord has made, so let's sing. This is the day that you have made. Whatever comes, I won't complain. For all my hope is in your name, and now your joy awaits my praise. me within your love. My heart will sing your praise again. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. 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 I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest night. You are close like no of the goodness of God. Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
Well, hi, West Springs. I'm Adam Beach, and I'm coming to you in our summer series, working through the book of Proverbs. And recently I got a new hat. I've been wearing it a little bit on the golf course. And, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But what it says on the side is live lucky. And I like that because, frankly, I need luck on the golf course. But the book of Proverbs doesn't talk about luck very much. Instead, it talks about wisdom. And in fact, I think that the theme or the motto of the book of Proverbs would be to live wisely. And in the beginning of the book, we see very quickly, and I know a few of us are speaking on Proverbs, and I'm not entirely sure what other people will say and what they haven't said. So bear with each one of us as we share our piece. We prayed about it, we've thought about it, and we thought about you as we prepared these messages. But just kind of high level, to start as a bit of an intro and then to kind of share the main point of what I want to do today, let's talk about Proverbs. And really the gist of it is the fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom. Now, many people think about, what does that mean? What does it mean to fear God? I thought he was a loving father. We shouldn't have to be afraid of him. What is the context here? Well, it's not being afraid of him. There's no terror involved. Rather, it's living reverently and also being reliant on God. It's taking a posture of humility. Wisdom is doing our best in our own lives with the skills, with what we have, what's been given to us, and recognizing that it really has been given to us, and that everything we have is God's. And when we come to our limits, when we come to the end of what we have, we can rest assured that if our faith and trust is in God, He's got our backs. He's providing for us. He is our provision. There's two overarching themes and concepts in the book, and it's a thread through the whole book. It's a bit of a constant. The first is, how do we manage our relationships with friends and with colleagues? What does that look like? And the second is, how do we manage our relationship with our closest loved one, with our spouse? How do we handle our marriage relationship? And also, how do we manage any temptation to live outside of that relationship? The book of Proverbs is really about relational wisdom. And the issue is folly versus wisdom, foolishness versus wisdom. And basically, it's talking about, are we taking shortcuts? What are the shortcuts in people's lives that they take towards success or towards pleasure, versus what is that steadfast, diligent, honest, hard work that gives you a rewarding life or gives you pleasure and success. And despite being thousands of years old and sometimes talking about things like, keep an eye on your flocks of sheep and watch out over your fields of wheat, kind of these older, more rural, it seems like, or agricultural concepts or metaphors. And we could upgrade maybe some of those notions to keep an eye on your investment portfolio and I don't know, make sure that your CV is up to date and accurate. They're saying keep an eye on your life. The advice in this book, even though sometimes the metaphors seem a little old, the advice is true and it stands firm even today. Wisdom in this context, when we read about it being a wise person or wisdom, it's not about intellectual capacity or genius. Rather, it's about knowing what is right and good and practicing that consistently in your life. And so I think when we read Proverbs, any one of us, we're going to get a lot out of it because it speaks to our life and it reminds us about what direction we should be heading, and it gives us good warnings. And it does it in interesting, metaphoric, kind of poetic ways about what to avoid. Mark Twain said, "It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so." And I think what the book of Proverbs does is it challenges us in our daily lives about what we know for sure, and it asks us in subtle ways, is this good? Is this right? Is this true? Is our heart direction, is your heart direction taking you a place, leading you to a place that you want to end up? So I would say, and maybe somebody else has already done this, but if they haven't, if none of my other contemporaries, if Lee or Merlette haven't done this, let me challenge you in this. Give a month of your life to the book of Proverbs. Read a chapter of Proverbs each day for 31 days. It's 31 chapters. Have your journal close by. And after you read a chapter, be quiet and listen. Listen to what God's saying to you. Listen to what your heart is telling you. Listen to any wisdom that is for you that day. And I promise you, your journal will be full of positive, edifying notes that will make your life, your work, your relationships, your family life better. Now, the two things I'd like to look at today, I'd like to look at two scriptures in Proverbs, and we'll look at them briefly, and then I want to tie them to two scriptures in the New Testament, to the words of Paul and the words of James. And I would say that the book of Proverbs had such an overwhelming impact on our New Testament writers. I think it had a huge impact on the sayings, the parables, the teaching and the preaching of Jesus. And so I'd like to give a couple old school Proverbs, and then I'd like to bring it into the New Testament and let us work with that. Let that sit in our hearts this week and this day. And the concept that I'm looking at is sowing and reaping. So Proverbs 11:18, if you got a pencil, just write down Proverbs 11:18, and it says, "The wicked earn deceptive wages, but one who sows righteousness gets a sure reward." The wicked earn deceptive wages, but one who sows righteousness gets a sure reward. And Proverbs chapter 22, verse 8. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 8, write that down. It says, "Whoever sows injustice will reap calamity, and the rod of his fury will fail." That's a New International Version. I looked at a different version, the New Living Translation, NLT. And verse 8 says, "Those who plant injustice will harvest disaster, and the reign of terror will come to an end." Aren't those good words? In today's language and in today's context, thinking about all the good things and all the terrible things that are going on in the world, it seems those promises still hold true. And, when I looked at these two verses, it just made me simply think that, first of all, God cares about how we make money. And that means something. He cares about who's exploited in the process. He wants us to have honest means in our life, and he wants us to benefit from those. And he wants the people in our lives to benefit from our hard work. God cares about injustice, and he cares about, and he knows and notices our indifference to injustice rather. He sees it when we look the other way. There's a consequence on earth for righteousness and for wicked living, even when it seems like there isn't. You may be working hard and being honest, and it seems like nothing's happening. But you need to know that good, honest work pays off. It pays off not only within, it pays off all around you. And that kind of example is noticed. It's noticed by your colleagues. It's noticed by your family members. It's noticed by your children. It has an impact on people's lives. So hold on, keep at it. If you sow in righteousness, there is a sure reward. In the same way, don't envy wicked people who are getting ahead. The light will shine on what corners they've cut. They will get their own reward, and it won't be good. Those who plant injustice will harvest disaster. The wicked earn deceptive wages, and God notices that. Those are the two verses in the Old Testament that I just thinking about when I was thinking about reaping and sowing. And Paul echoes those very same words in Galatians chapter 6. Again, if you got your pencil, Galatians chapter 6, verse 7, Paul says, "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Whoever sows to please their flesh, from the flesh will reap destruction. And whoever sows to please the Spirit, from the Spirit will reap eternal life." The things that whatever thoughts we're having, they become our actions. And whatever our actions are become our consequences. So we need to be very careful about what we're sowing in our own hearts and our own minds. And we need to be careful what kind of words we're sowing into the people's lives that we care about and that we work with. In verse 9, Galatians chapter 6, verse 9 says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Aren't those good words? Good promises? James, in the same way, James chapter 3, verse 13, he talks about wisdom. And so we're hearkening back to these words of fearing God is the beginning of all wisdom. And James says in chapter 3, verse 13, "Who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in humility that comes from wisdom. But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from heaven, but is earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice." Isn't that something? That's something that when James is talking simply, it seems like he's talking just simply about envy and selfish ambition. James says that the logical conclusion or the spiritual conclusion of those things is disorder and every evil practice. Now, I think that's pretty good for a gut check for any of us. James chapter 3, in verse 17, he talks about the other kind of wisdom. He's talking about two kinds of wisdom here. "But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness." Now, in the same way that we talked about fear of God and what does that really look like? What does that really mean? I think sometimes people, when they see the word righteousness, they have a hard time thinking about themselves as righteous, or just understanding what does righteousness really look like. But to me, and I think a solid definition of righteousness is rightness. Whatever is right, whatever is true, whatever is good, noble, whatever brings beauty into the world, that's righteousness. So this week, my encouragement to you is to get into the book of Proverbs, maybe look at the verses around those two verses that I shared with you in chapter 11 and in chapter 22. Have a look at kind of more of the context there. And to do just that, sow righteousness, sow the good things into your own life, into your own heart. Encourage yourself, and with your words and with your actions, sow righteousness and good and truth and beauty in the people's lives around you. If you need to make something right this week, if you've been having this nagging thought in your quiet times, do your best to make it right this week. And if you're not sure how, ask somebody that you love and trust. Talk to them about it. Say, look, if you got a minute, I'd like to just put this situation in front of you. And I promise you, if you do that, you're both going to come up with good solutions as to how to make something right in a relationship in your life. This week, check your own direction. Are you reverent and reliant before God? What does that look like in your life? What does that look like as an example to other people in your life? And be encouraged. If you work at this, if you take these quiet times and focus in on it, you will have a positive outcome. There will be a harvest. Good things will come back to you. They won't return void. And goodness will show up in your life. In fact, it will chase you down. If you keep working on it, don't give up. The book of Proverbs, it's got a lot there for each of us. And this is my encouragement to you this week. Thanks, West Springs. God bless you. Have a great week.
Thanks, Adam, for your message on Proverbs this morning. And thank you again to our preaching team. What a great job they did filling in for Pastor Keitha. I encourage you to send a text or an email to Merlette, Lee, and Adam and let them know that you appreciate them stepping in over the last 3 weeks. Pastor Keitha is back from her vacation and will be sharing the message next Sunday. Now, next week and for the rest of this month, we're going to share in a different kind of Sunday morning experience. Rather than watching a video of a service, we're asking you to join a Zoom meeting at 10:05. You'll find that meeting link on our website, westsprings.church, on Sunday morning. And there will be more information in Thursday's weekly email. Now, as we look towards the fall, we'd like you to take a few minutes today to fill out a quick 10-question survey if you haven't already. You'll find the survey link in last Thursday's weekly email from Oni. This will help us move forward with planning, as our target date for Sunday services in our building is September 6th. And lastly, if you would like to financially support ministry at West Springs Church, there are a number of on-screen options now. We want to thank everyone for their generosity over these last few months. With that, have a great long weekend, and we'll see you on Zoom next Sunday.